Oh, hi there. Hi there. My name is.
Bosnina enormt die Meere moet wat onbegeven vlug.
Hi there. My name is Constant van Graan, and today I'm going to talk to you about what is a Jungu. A Jungu is a young person who goes into the forest and comes back as an adult. Now, this is a central theme and tradition in most African cultures, but also other contexts as well. And it derives from a series of books that I've written called Jungu Josh. So the question, what is a Jungu, is a good one. And it comes down to one central sentence. That is a boy who goes into the forest and comes back as a man. But the central idea behind a Jungu is a person who is still immature, has to go on some other journey and return as the adult or fuller version of themselves. And so one might think, where is the idea of Jungu also contained in nature and wildlife? As we see it often in the animal kingdom. Think back to the last time you were in a nature reserve or on safari, and we see specific examples of Jungus with young male elephants who are the most obnoxious types of animals out there. Those are the ones who usually overturn vehicles. They go through a stage of musk where they become very pedantic, enraged with all the hormones in them, and then they just create chaos. And then they have to go on their own special journey with an older male elephant who creates the calmness and the discipline for those young elephant males to realize this is not going to work. This is not going to be accepted by the herd. And then that journey can also be seen as one that they have to go through to become Jungus, these adult versions of themselves later. And therefore we can also gather that a Jungu is an archetype. We see it in many novels and stories. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings with Frodo, is all these main characters have to go through a journey to find themselves, but also more specifically find their place in the environment. Because that is two central things of a Jungu. Is yes, you have to go on this journey to find out who you are, that self-discovery, self-awareness, but that only brings you halfway there. You have to find out how that fits in with society. Because we are social beings. We do not live, as they say, on islands, and it's very important to see where your strengths lie and how you can apply it in your society. So for me, the best example of a Jungu is from the source material, that's Jungu Josh. And the first time a reader will see a Jungu is in Jungu Josh and the Golden Calabash, the Goue Kalbas, which is originally written in Afrikaans. And that tells the story of Josh Magrier. He finds himself in London with living with his single mother, Sylvia. And it's clear from the outset that he goes through the motions. He is 13 years old. He's in that weird stage of being a pre-teenager. But he does not know actually who he is or where his roads will lead in future, because he doesn't understand who he is and he doesn't know what he wants from life. Then Josh finds himself on a farm in East Africa after traveling with his mother to one of these old English farms in East Africa. We never know exactly where that is, but we can gather it's close to the Uganda-Kenya border, where his aunt has one of these old colonial farms. And his mother is supposed to go on a field trip into the jungles for a couple of weeks to gather some specimens of the research she's doing. And she's supposed to be away for about 2 to 3 weeks. Now it's 2 years later and she hasn't returned. And the central story of Jungu Josh is how Josh is then taken away by a stranger to this magical valley called Kalambula, and that's where his journey starts to become a Jungu. And the first time he hears about this this phrase or this word is from his accomplice in Kalambula, Njeri, the warrior girl. She's 15 years old. She has a six-pack, so she knows how to fight. I'm a bit afraid of her. She doesn't take nonsense. Rough around the edges. And here you have this nurtured, emotional, younger person in Josh, and how they have to, find each other. And so we have a lot of conflict between Josh and Njeri. Josh being the more emotional, nurtured character, and Njeri braver and, as I said, very warrior-like. And they have to find the middle ground in their friendship. And it's here where Njeri reminds him that Josh still has a journey waiting for him because he's still so young and he still doesn't know who he is. And that's where she says, "You are a Jungu." And that's from the Magani language, which is the most widely spoken language in Kalambula. It's also the fictional language that I created for the series. And so you might wonder, what's up with that? A whole language on its own? Yes, I created a pocket-sized dictionary. I created this language. And so you can go and have a look on jungujosh.com. The dictionary is available online. And so you can start learning those Magani phrases. And we'll have a whole episode of Magani a bit later in this season, which I'm very excited about. And for now, I can just say, "Ke incha yayawanje," it's going well. That's a phrase you can always use, "Ke incha yayawanje." So, Jungu in Magani means this sentence that I shared with you. A young boy who goes into the forest and comes back as a man. What's very interesting is because they have this interesting, feisty friendship between the two of them, Njeri and Josh. Later in the book, when they have a serious fallout, Njeri becomes very mean and she says, "What I didn't tell you, Josh, is yes, in your mind, I've given you these wise words of you being a Jungu on your journey to become a man. But actually, while I'm looking at you now, you simple human being, is as I see you now, you are actually a Jungu according to one of the West African languages, which one of the missionaries brought along, and she's learned quite a lot of those languages. And Jungu in West Africa, and this specific tribe she's referring to, means an idiot. And that creates a cliff between the two of them. And throughout the rest of book one, Josh finds himself not only going on this treacherous, dangerous journey with an evil professor hot on his heels and all these dangerous animals around every corner, but he loses his partner in crime, his person in this whole journey, which isolates him, but also, again, ironically, forces him to find out who he is in this journey to become a Jungu. The most important thing for one to realize when you think about the word Jungu is, yes, it's the journey, yes, it's the adventure of a lifetime. Yes, it's about you finding out who you are and where you fit in the world. But one thing I realized, and that's why talking about a Jungu is so important, is that we can see in life when a person is a Jungu and when he or she is not a Jungu. You'll see it in everyday life. A person who is able to take on life's struggles without becoming cynical, or even worse, bitter, that person is a Jungu. The person who, as we call, or we say in academic language, who has external locus of control, a person who feels that life happens to them, they don't happen to life, those people struggle in life and they never realize who they are and how they fit in society because they are angry and they are bitter. And I know that this sounds philosophical and deep, but that's what it comes down to, is this is not just a story, another story when we talk about Josh McGreer. It's about learning when you read about these characters that you can either try and find meaning in life by taking on the world's struggles to become the adult version of yourself and know where you fit in, or you can lie down and say, life happens to me and therefore I will not partake in it. I promise you the latter will make life a lot more difficult and miserable for you. And I'm there now, I'm very deep, and I don't want to elaborate too much on that, but you can see the gist of what I'm referring to. The fact of the matter is, take on those struggles to find meaning in life, which Josh, I think, in the end, in book 3, actually achieves. And so now the question is, where do you fit in this whole picture of finding your inner Jungu? I think what's important is to realize that every person's journey, every person's adventure will look different based on their strengths. So I implore you to go outside and find out what makes you tick, where your strengths lie, and try to forget about your weaknesses to such an extent that you can still operate in this world. Focus on your strengths, and everybody's strength or anyone's strength will look different from the person next to him or her. So embrace your strengths, and that journey will be unique. If I think, for example, of myself, is my journey was solely about finding out that I love being creative. I'm an ideas person, and I hate finer detail. I hate looking into the analytics of stuff. I also am not fond of routine. So I had to go on this course of life where I had to find out, how do I channel my ideas in a workable way where I don't become tired of doing it every day and inspire myself to get up in the morning to work on these creative projects. That includes the writing, but it includes the music and my research as well, which I'll also talk about more in this series. The most important thing for you to realize is find out who you are by finding out what your strengths are. From there on in, you can work towards how does your environment look like and how you can use that to, let's say it as it is, improve the world. So this is the first episode of the series. Hopefully you could tap into some of the things I mentioned. I'm looking forward to being on this YouTube journey with you. So may you have a wonderful day. We'll chat again. So that was the first episode of... So for me the best accent. And it... Ons kan ons hierdie edit net. Hi guys! God, please, it's individualisering. Nie sê hallo julle nie, sê hi, jy gaan met jou verstaan dit.